Hello. Okay. Sorry about that. It was like I didn't do anything for like 2 years, but hey, I'm back. So I'm just gonna jump right in and pretend like I haven't missed a couple years of vlogging, because I haven't missed a vlogging. I blog rarely. Anyway, recently something quite interesting happened to me. I looked at my phone and I had an email through aboutme.com, which is actually linked to my blog, so I really do blog sometimes. And it was from a producer of the Katie Couric Show who wanted to know if I would be interested in being on a show about interracial couples, basically. And of course I said yes. And she interviewed me on the phone a couple of times and we had wonderful conversation, and she was like, I have to tell you that now we're taping the shows live and there is a slight chance that we would run out of time before we got to talk to you. But would you still be interested in coming tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, I totally get it. So anyway, I got excited, but I tried to temper my excitement with reality that clearly I might not actually be on the Katie Couric Show. Now, the Katie Couric Show is not something that I watch, but one time Amy Grant was on it, and I asked them for tickets, and I never got a response. However, it was super exciting to me to think that I would say Katie Couric is a pretty well-known journalist, wanted to ask me a question about being biracial, and that it was going to be on national television, and that it didn't matter really that I don't blog that often or vlog that often, that all the things that I have done are worth something and still make me a valid voice to add to the conversation. So, I mean, you can only imagine, I hope, how thrilled I was that is something that that's kind of something I always wanted to happen. When this vlog started getting a few more viewers than like 20, I thought, oh wow, this is kind of interesting. Maybe, somebody will see it and want to interview me for something. People would then ask me to continue to speak about this matter. And then I got this very random email. So I went to ABC Studios, and it happened to be in the same studio where Who Wants to Be a Millionaire used to film, and I was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and won $32,000, so I was feeling very good about being back in that space. And I met lots of really cool people. The producer woman who found me, her name is Brittany, and she was really wonderful and so interested in the conversation and so helpful to help me sort of get what I wanted to say in a good way to say it for TV. And I just had a really great time. And the coolest thing was, in the morning meeting, they decided that I was definitely going to be a part of the show, and I was written into the script, and it was in the second segment. So it made me feel like it was, kind of at the top of the show and super cool. And she was going to ask me 2 questions. Katie was really intrigued by my use of the word mulatto, of all things. So it just kept getting better and better. Long story long, a group of us guests, I suppose, were standing backstage watching monitors. Actually, we're in the green room, which is not backstage, and that is an important part of the story. So I see they go to the first commercial break, and they say coming up next is this super dad, and I know that that's the guy that I'm in the segment with. And so I said to the production assistant that was standing there, like, I think I need to be out there because that's my segment. And she looked at her list and she was like, I don't have you on here, but we can go out there. And so we are walking to the backstage area, and the producer, Brittany, is, frantic, coming towards us, and she's like, there you are. And we go to the stage manager, and she says, is she mic'd? And I was not mic'd. And there was 20 seconds till they were back on air, and they just had to leave me out. And wow. I mean, that is how I felt in that moment. And while that was incredibly disappointing, obviously, I just found myself not resisting the fact that it wasn't going to happen. There was nothing that could be done, and I just stayed as pleasant and joyful and as thrilled to be there as I was, because there was no changing it and I was still there and it was still a cool thing. So I just wanted to keep enjoying being there. So Brittany was very upset with the situation. And apparently, what had happened was all the PAs and stuff didn't get the notes that happened after the morning meeting where they decided I was definitely going to be in. So nobody knew that I was supposed to be there at that time. And it just happened. That just happened. And there's all kinds of ways I could look at this. Like, of course that happened. Did you really think it was just going to be that easy? You know, there's a myriad things that I have done. I'm sure that I could think that that was karma for. But actually, I don't feel that way. I had a great time. I met some cool people. I had a really nice minute or two conversation with Katie Couric. We discussed the fact that a biracial show all on its own, not tied to an interracial couple show, would be really great. And she seemed to be very interested in doing that. So, you know, we'll see, whatever. It just was such a crazy, interesting experience to get that surprise out of nowhere, to have set myself up realistically thinking that this might just not happen, and then being told, oh, this is definitely going to happen, and then it not happening. I didn't do anything, but I did a great job. I represented myself well. I spoke very thoughtfully on a subject that means a lot to me. I met cool people who were, I think, a little nervous to be on TV, and I kind of felt like I wasn't in that space of nervousness about it. So I felt like my energy helped people be more comfortable there, and I really handled that disappointment in that moment with such grace. I did. I've started to, when I get upset by something, you know, instead of just bitching about it, to be like, why is this happening for me? Not why is this happening to me? It happened for me so that I wouldn't forget that good things happen, and this is Oscar, and you know, life can change overnight, and that my voice matters, and I want to use it, and it also, which this was not fun at all, but it really brought up all of, I don't know about all of them, but many, many, many disappointments that I have had in the past, and I think I really needed to remember what that felt like, unfortunately, because I have tried really hard to keep myself from being disappointed anymore. And not that it doesn't happen, but I definitely have some sort of protective wall up against it. And, you know, that sounds maybe like it's good, but it's not, because it means that you're not open and you're not taking chances if you don't want to be disappointed. In a lot of ways, in a lot of places in my life, I think I've given up. And it's really easy for me to be mean to myself about that. And that's not good, you know. I, in feeling this disappointment, understand myself. So I can forgive myself. And I have survived this disappointment pretty well, actually. And I don't have to be so afraid of it. I have been wanting to vlog, and I didn't know where to start or restart, or I don't know. I didn't know. But then I got this story that I thought I was going to write about. But I didn't think that I could capture that sort of like, it's not happening. Wow. On paper, cyber paper. So I did this, and I don't know. I don't think I talked about race much, other than it was the backdrop for a story, and I think the stuff I said about disappointment and learning from it, and why is this happening for me, that's the important stuff. That's the stuff that's raceless. I don't believe I'll ever say biracial Tiffany again, but what I will say is biracial. Bye bye. We don't need that anymore.